With impressive towing and hauling capabilities, excellent powertrain options, and a full load of innovative technical solutions, the Ford Super Duty is usually seen as one of the toughest pickup trucks in the world. But under the skin, things are actually way more fragile than the truck's exterior may suggest. Only in the last couple of years, the Blue Oval Company issued several recalls that affected hundreds of thousands of models, which clearly indicates that the Ford Super Duty has a huge problem. Let's take a closer look. Diesel trucks are problematic in particular. With their more complex design, diesel engines are generally more problematic than their gasoline counterparts. Still, no one believed that such an engine could cause major problems, as we found out with the most recent recall that was issued just a few weeks ago. Namely, pretty much all Super Duty models produced between 2015 and 2021 will probably be recalled, and the issue appears to be very serious. The National Highway Traffic Safety Administration has just launched a probe to look into the issue, which was activated when the Office of Defects Investigation received 27 complaints about the fracture in the secondary air filters. Among these 27 complaints, 12 included fire, which there were also 4 cases of injuries. All in all, nearly 211,000 trucks produced between 2015 and 2021 are currently under investigation, which represents potentially one of the biggest recalls in the history of the F-Series. The thing about this probable recall is that it turned out there was a serious design error, a fracture in the secondary air filters. What's even worse is that these filters are located next to high heat sources, which poses a great risk of catching fire. From what we've managed to find out, these filters were produced by Alevard Sogefi USA. The company shared that the secondary filter was tested with reduced pressure instead of at the maximum operating pressure fuel system. We're currently waiting for the investigation to end, but according to insiders, the recall will most likely be issued. As mentioned, this recall would affect nearly 211,000 Super Duty models produced between 2015 and 2021. This refers to all variants including F250, F350, F450, and F550. Interestingly, models produced after 2021 are not part of the investigation, which may indicate that Ford either changed the supplier of the secondary filter or the company made some modifications. Once again, the issues refer only to diesel-powered Super Duty trucks, which are considered some of the most capable around, with a famous 6.7-liter turbocharged V8 that puts out 475 horsepower and 1,050 pound-feet of torque. Last year, the company updated the engine and offered a high-output variant with 500 horsepower and magnificent 1,200 pound-feet of torque. 42,000 F250s and F350s recalled last September. The ongoing investigation about the secondary filter is anything but an isolated case. Ford has been the king of recalls lately, so losing billions every year on design faults has become pretty much a regular thing at the Blue Oval Company. Quality control issues are a general problem that Ford is currently facing, and as one of the most popular models, the Super Duty isn't spared either. One of the interesting recalls was issued last September. That one affected a respectable number of 42,000 F250 and F350 models, and it refers to the bad design of a left rear axle shaft that has a tendency to break and therefore significantly increase the risk of a crash. According to the National Highway Traffic Safety Administration, this recall refers to models produced in 2023 and is about particular versions with single rear wheels and a 10.5-inch rear axle shaft. The National Highway Traffic Safety Administration also stated that the probable cause of breaks is improper heat treatment during production. In the case of the axle shaft break, the outcome may come in the loss of drive power or vehicle rollaway when the truck is in park. Troubles in high-tech heaven. The latest generation of Super Duty models was launched for the 2023 model year. The redesign brought so many great things, with the company claiming this was by far the most technologically advanced heavy-duty pickup truck on the market. To be honest, that wasn't far from true, but advanced tech systems didn't just bring convenience, they also brought new problems. One of them was about the ADAS control module, which wasn't programmed as intended. Namely, the rear view camera wasn't working when the new Pro Trailer Hitch Assist is engaged, which may increase the risk of a crash. The recall affected over 18,500 pickups in total, manufactured between March 15 and July 14 in 2023, and included F250, F350, and F450 variants. This recall occurred in late summer, and that was already the 6th recall in that year, which says a lot about Ford's quality control. As for the rest of the recalls, some of them really referred to some pretty bizarre things, such as missing or loose steering column bolts, missing head restraining instruction, power windows malfunction, instrument cluster failure, and more. Even for the initial production year of the new generation, that's just too much. And while we talk about numerous recalls in 2023, let's not forget that more than 310,000 Super Duty models were called back to dealerships for the replacement of their steering wheels. It turned out that the driver's front airbag didn't work properly because dust would eventually accumulate inside the steering wheel, interrupting the electric connection. Besides airbag malfunction, this also caused an improper work of the horn. Remember drive shaft issues? Back in 2021, the F-150 was the first model to be recalled due to drive shaft failures. More than 185,000 pickups were affected, and soon enough, the problem occurred in Super Duty models as well. It included numerous variants of the F-250 and F-350 models produced between 2017 and 2022. They all had one thing in common. They had gasoline engines and aluminum drive shafts. Once the National Highway Traffic Safety Administration finished the investigation, it turned out that the problem was in heat and noise insulators below the body. With a big chance to loosen and touch the drive shaft, there was a big possibility for the shaft to fracture, which would lead to a power loss or even loss of control if the shaft hits the ground. Moreover, there was even a risk of pickups rolling when stopped but without the parking brake turned on. The total number of recalled Super Duty models went up to nearly 250,000 models, which puts this one high on the list of Super Duty issues as well. Bizarre problems continue. While some of the issues we talked about were pretty serious with major safety concerns, others were rather bizarre. Still, they are quite indicative and show that something is really wrong with Ford's quality control. This might be one of those cases because it turned out that around 1,300 Super Duty models were supposed to be reflashed before leaving the factory. Well, it turned out that they were shipped with the wrong code. As a result, Ford was forced to issue a recall for one pretty banal thing. We're talking about the so-called anti-pinch system, designed to detect an obstacle and automatically reverse direction. It's anything but a revolutionary technical solution, not a groundbreaking safety feature. It's rather a system designed primarily to save kids' fingers from getting trapped when we flick a switch to roll up the window. This reminded us of the early days of power windows when we all wanted to check how nasty a window bite could be. In this case, a certain number of F-250, F-350, F-450, and F-550 models were recalled because the system didn't work properly on driver and front passenger windows. At first, Ford claimed that the door module would relearn its limits and regain its anti-pinch feature within 2 up-down cycles, but eventually, the company decided to issue a recall and do the software update and solve the problem before the windows grab someone's fingers. And if you think that's a bizarre recall, check this out. Last year, Ford issued a recall that included nearly 1 million body-on-frame vehicles produced between 2018 and 2023. It included not just the Super Duty models, but other models as well, such as the Lincoln Navigator, Ford Expedition, etc. The reason was that all these trucks and SUVs were shipped with an owner's manual that didn't include instructions for adjusting or removing certain head restraints, which is required by federal law. Ford shortly stated that this was a human error and that it wasn't aware of any accidents or injuries related to the issue. Apparently, seatbelt pretensioners can cause fire. Let's take a look at another interesting recall that occurred in 2019 when Ford recalled more than 500,000 Super Duty trucks produced between 2017 and 2019. The reason? Well, it turned out that these pretensioners, when deployed to tighten belts amid a collision, could lead to a fire. More precisely, there was a risk of excessive sparks when these front seat belt pretensioners deployed and could have ignited the carpet or carpet insulation. In other words, during a crash, the carpet could easily catch fire in the area of the side roof pillar, which would then spread further into the vehicle. Obviously, this was a major safety issue, so Ford had no other option but to issue a recall which, as mentioned, affected more than 500,000 vehicles. Thankfully, there was just one report of a fire related to this problem, but there were no injuries according to Ford. Thanks for watching and see you next time.